Okay, this is going to be my video on the distance between 2 points. So let's start with that definition of what it means. So when we have 2 points, they're always going to talk about it in terms of x and y, but now since we have 2 points, another x and y, we have to differentiate. So the way they do that is they say, well, this is my first point, 1, and this is my second point, 2. Those little numbers, all they mean is this is part of the first point or part of the second point. Besides that, we are going to look at a point. So let's say we have this point A and this point B. We want to find the distance between them, which I could draw a straight line through, right? This is our distance. This is what we're trying to find. And what I would say to you is that every single measure of distance between 2 points has 2 parts. It has this part here, this horizontal component, and then it also has this vertical component. Every single combination of 2 points. And you might be saying, hey, but what if I just have point A and then I have point B over here and it is only horizontal? Well, I would just say to you that here the vertical component does exist, it just is equal to 0. So as long as we keep that in mind, that every distance part has a horizontal and vertical component, then that's what we're going to use to solve for it. So how are we going to get our distance? We are going to get the square root of the vertical component plus the horizontal component to the power of 2. This average formula out solves for that measure of distance. And when we write it in terms of our points, we'll use that x1 and y1. So that vertical part is y. I'm going to write x first because that's just generally what I see in formulas. So I'm going to put x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So let's just flip these up here. So we've got a vertical and a horizontal component though. The horizontal being x, horizontal, and the vertical being y. But it's the same thing. We're adding, I just want to organize it so it goes straight up and down. So we have our horizontal, we're going to subtract those and do it to the power 2. We're going to take our verticals, subtract those, do it to the power 2, add those numbers together, and then take a square root, and that will always give us our distance. So please write this distance formula somewhere. It is helpful. But yeah, you could put the y's first or the x first. You're just adding 2 numbers, so it doesn't matter. All right, let's look at some practice. Okay, so first practice here is if we had A is 5,8 and B is 1,5. So when we have that, what a lot of people do is they organize x1, y1, and then x2, y2, and then they're like, all right, I got my formula. I know it's x2 minus x1, and then I know it's y2 minus y1, and that's a fine way to do it. Other people, they connect the x's and y's visually, so do what you need to do. So let's do this though. So either way, I'm going to subtract my y's and x's. So my x's are 5 minus 1 or 1 minus 5. And remember, when we're going to do it to the power of 2. So as long as you line up your x's, it will give you the same distance because it'll turn into a positive number. And then we're going to take our y's. 8, oops, not 8 first. We got a 5 first. 5 minus 8. So remember, we got y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. So we're just putting them into the right spots. So what's going to happen here? We're going to get a negative 4 to the power 2 plus a negative 3 to the power 2. So 4 times 4 is 16. Please don't do times 2 here. And then we're going to do 3 times 3 to get a 9 here, but we still have a square root. So we're going to get square root of 25, and that is going to turn into a distance of 5. So 5 units, whatever your distance is measuring out. So that's the basic process. You are going to subtract those x's and do the power 2, subtract the y's, do the power 2, add them together, and take a square root. All right, I'm going to do a couple more examples. So let's do an example if we had our points were 5, 10, and 0, 5. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to subtract our, excuse me, that's not correct, x1, y1, and x2, y2. And let's just make it a little spicier and make these all negative. Alright, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to subtract our x's. So when we subtract our x's, here we're going to have a 0 minus negative 5 squared. And then we're going to subtract our y's. So negative 5 minus negative 10 squared. So mostly it's just keeping track of these signs, but really just think of how far apart are they. How far apart is 0 and negative 5? Oh, it's only a distance of 5 apart. How far apart is negative 10 and negative 5? Oh, it's only a distance of 5 apart. So if you could think about it in either of those two ways, you will get 5 squared. And what is going to happen is we're going to get a couple 25s to add together. Now we get a root 50. At this point, you would look at the root review video if you forgot how to do this. Otherwise, you would take it apart or try to take it apart and see you got 2 5s here. You get a nice 5 root 2. Alright, I'm going to do one last example. And my last example is going to be with 1, 3, and with negative 2, 9. So we're going to find this distance. It's always a distance between 2 points. So like I'm finding distance xy here, or distance AB, or whatever your 2 points are. Either way, the best way for me to do this is to organize x1, y1, x2, y2. So now I'm going to subtract my y's first, 9 minus 3 squared. And then I'm going to subtract my x's second, negative 2 minus 1 squared. Most of the issues here, people will randomly switch something or forget a sign, but try to keep in mind just how far apart are these numbers. What is that vertical component? Oh, 9 and 3, they're just 6 apart. Oh, how far apart are negative 2 and 1? Yeah, they're 3 apart. And then if I square those out, 36 plus 9 gives me a square root of 45. So let's take that apart. Looks like I can get a pair of 3's here with a 5 left over. And my distance is 3 root 9. So my distance of xy is 3 root 9. So this is how to take the distance of 2 points. And I hope it goes well for you.